Hey, how are you doing? I hope it's so good over here. Spring is coming, which is amazing. I have a confession to make. Although I'm a tech reviewer and I'm checking all kind of action cameras, and I've checked almost every important action camera for the last year, I've never owned nor I have worked with a GoPro Hero camera. And right now I have the GoPro Hero 6, which has become much more affordable than it used to be last year, and has become much better because of the new firmware updates. The GoPro Hero 6 now! We're jumping straight to the point. Unboxing experience is fine. The box is beautiful, and it is obvious that inside we have a decent performer. To be fair, we have seen cameras with even more attractive boxes, and we can point to most of the Eken's cameras. Quality and performance-wise, they are of course way below the GoPro. The Hero 6 model is conveniently placed in a frame, and it is a matter of seconds to dismount it from its original location. Before using the camera, let's have a quick look at the accessories. I'm used to get many from the Chinese competitors, and well, that's it. USB Type-C cable, the frame, and 2 mounts with double-sided tape. Thank God I have a cupboard full of others. And accessory sets you can easily buy online at reasonable prices. The camera is well designed. GoPro are keeping most of the specific lines of the Hero 5 body. And that is not the only component that they share with the 5th generation. The battery, for example, is the same. The body build quality is the best on the market. The camera is waterproof without a case, and except the bottom, sides are rubberized for better grip. For years, GoPro has been partnering with Ambarella for the production of their processors, and this entirely changes with the Hero 6, where they have created a custom-made chip together with the Japanese chipmaker Socionext. Building an in-house solution is time-consuming and also very challenging, and it was clear that GoPro will have a tough launch with plenty of issues to fix. According to many reports, most of the initial issues have been already corrected with the February firmware patch. As for the image sensor, looks like intentionally GoPro are not disclosing the exact model. We know it is a 12-megapixel CMOS sensor. On the side we count on a USB Type-C and mini HDMI port. The Type-C profile allows adding external devices, including a microphone. On the top there's the shutter button and one of the microphones. The others are on the right together with the mode button. Bottom is for the battery, and you will notice the microSD slot too. The body of the camera is waterproof, you don't need a case to dive underwater if it's going to be deeper than 10 meters. The overall navigation feeling was in fact much better than what I expected. Those of you who closely follow the channel know that I'm not a big fan of touchscreens, and the one on the Hero 6 pretty much revised my opinion. I felt very comfortable switching between modes and choosing the different options. There's almost nothing that you cannot intuitively find and switch, from resolutions to frames per second to stabilization and so on. There's a nice tutorial at the start. Modes and settings are at the bottom. Advanced settings you get by swiping left, and swiping down gets you to the preferences. If you do swipe right, that will open the library. Among the many great settings, I will highlight the quick capture. The only other action cam that I have reviewed and can do it so far is the GitUp F1, but it is more FPV oriented. There's a dual-band Wi-Fi on the GoPro, a ridiculously good choice between resolutions, starting from 4K at 60 frames per second and going down to 720p 240 FPS. Interestingly, Full HD is also possible at 240, and on top of that you can run stabilization when shooting at 120 frames per second. That is almost unbelievable. For the high-demanding shooting modes, the camera automatically switches to high-efficiency video codec, also known as H.265, and we have talked a lot about it in previous reviews. There already are other action cameras that support it, like the Rexo Explorer K and MG Cool's Explorer 2. Essentially, you get the same video quality at a much smaller video size, and it is a matter of time until more devices adopt this technology as a default. Let's go now for real-life feedback. If I may start with the basic user experience, if it's just the camera, I loved the easiness of switching between resolutions. And I was somewhat skeptical at the start and had my doubts whether GoPro is superior to most of the good budget models like the Firefly 8S, SJ7 Star, the E4K and so on. Well, it is. After the past months, it gets more and more important to have the right menus and a good user experience. Think about it. If you are not able to switch between shooting modes quickly, you may miss a perfect moment that no one else can give you back. And since we're going to test the camera thoroughly, let's roll more footage. In my deep dive reviews, I usually test how long it will take to get some support, and with GoPro, it was within several hours and I got someone to help me. This is slightly better than what I got last year with the GitHub Git 2 support. The GoPro's whole ecosystem is brilliant. The camera is not picky on microSD cards. Every U3 model I've tried was working fine, even some just Class 10 cars. Battery performance is quite outstanding. Took it exactly 98 minutes until the battery was completely empty by recording 4K at 30 FPS. This is not a real live test because the image stabilization needs a lot of power, so does the screen, and it always switches on when you begin or stop recording. But a real estimation would be around an hour of intensive work. Make sure to get spare batteries, and there's no good reason to waste money on copycats. You get the originals for less than $20. Okay, it's been a week ever since I have the GoPro Hero 6, and so far I have mostly positive experience. The camera is designed in a very smart way and is very good for both beginners and people who are more professional oriented. Because if you don't know what to do or how to control the settings, you're perfectly fine to stay with the automatic options. But if you want to go pro and adjust ISO, color, saturation, the color mode and so on, everything seems to be expandable. Just enable the corresponding menu, go through that and make a configuration. I liked a lot what they've done with the sound. No matter what they say, from the perspective of someone who is reviewing a lot of action cameras, I could confirm this is the best action camera microphone I've tested so far. It records stereo if wind noise cancellation is not on, and it's pretty nice. I just hate this automatic feature where it switches between mono and stereo. Right now, if it was auto, because there is light wind coming in, it was about to turn it temporarily into mono, then bring it stereo, which is a bit of annoying. But you can hear a lot of sounds like birds, like construction works nearby, and so on. I'll just fly a little bit now. That apparently is not the Karma. But remember, GoPro Hero 6 is your Karma drone compatible, although there are not too many people who are carrying on using their Karmas, and as you probably know, this brand of drones is not manufactured anymore. GoPro just announced discontinuing this type of device. By the way, announcements, there's a cheap version of GoPro. It's the GoPro 2018, which is just $199, but out of scope right now. Let's bring it in. You know me, I like pushing things to the limits, range test of the Wi-Fi. This one supports both 2.4 and 5.8. So we're gonna start with the 2.4 range. Well, it apparently is recording. So the only thing I need to do is to stand up, get back. Right, I don't know how far that is. I start to see artifacts on the screen. The image here is frozen, but the connection is still alive. So start counting, it's just the limit. Some artifacts, but the image right now is still overall stable. 1, 2, 3. Right, I think I have experienced a bug right now because I just arrived at the camera. It made 3 beeps as if it stopped recording, but then it was somehow frozen, and I believe it has something to do with dropping the signal, bringing it back and trying to synchronize. But amazing, it maintained signal for more than 17 meters. It was really close to 20. No other action camera managed to do that so far during my test, so amazing work, GoPro. Firmware updates can be applied easily via the app, which is, by the way, the second possibility for configuration, and in some ways, you may find it even easier than the touchscreen. The GoPro feels good on a gimbal, but considering its outstanding stabilization, you won't often need it, especially if the footage has to feel more natural or dynamic. There's no car mode, and while you can charge and record at the same time, operating as a dash cam is a huge waste of the GoPro resources. And now, time for conclusion, huh? This is the best action camera I have used so far. End of story. It's better than any of its competitors in one or many ways. 4K at 60 frames per second. In this small body with really fantastic picture quality, this is amazing. You have excellent, really the best stabilization I've seen on 4K, and I don't think something is going to appear and surpass that anytime soon. And do not forget that there's a Japanese company which stays behind the development of the GS1 processor, which probably is the reason for this quality boost. I remember last year at the end, many channels complained about the quality of the GoPro Hero 6, and I remember Peter McKinnon was actually telling people not to buy any of the GoPro Hero 6, and right now, running the firmware of February 2018, it shoots amazingly well. I had almost zero issues with the firmware and pretty much no complaints about this camera. Still, there are two things which I discovered and I don't like a lot. In some situations when the SD card is full, and I believe this is during the process of GoPro creating the smaller chunks of video so that you can replay them, when I press the turn off key, it needs like 5 seconds to shut off, and that is annoying because you have the feeling the camera is really frozen. The other thing I don't like is the HDR functionality, because there is not a good enough warning when you should use it. If you use the HDR functionality in dark areas or indoors, the quality is just terrible. But if you go outside, HDR is HDR. So that's all about the GoPro Hero 6. I haven't said that recently, but this is an excellent camera, and I'm saying all that knowing its current price tag. It's just $399, which is more affordable than ever. Speaking of being affordable, GoPro has just released the GoPro 2018, which is a lower budget camera, and if you want to get in touch with the products of the American company, and if you want to learn about the firmware, about the ecosystem, it's not a bad opportunity. I don't know many of the details, but maybe sooner or later I'm gonna make a review of this one too. Putting an end here. If you like the video, you know what to do. If you don't like it, you probably know what to do. I don't. If I don't like a video, I just watch another one. But some people are doing other stuff, getting jealous. That's another story. Right. Report given. That's Tech for All channel. I'll very much appreciate if you share, subscribe, like, enjoy life, give a lot of smiles, and have a beautiful day. See you soon.